Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV. I'm your host tonight, Bernie Weemers, and we're here to cover the Skip Barber Monday Lights racing series, and we're coming to you from Summit Point Raceway tonight. And for a bit of difference, it's a short configuration, but before we get into that, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Richard Craig. So Richard, firstly, how are you tonight? And secondly, what's your thoughts on this new configuration?
Yeah, good evening, Bernie. Good evening, viewers. I'm good. A bit warm down here in Melbourne tonight, but we're coping. I've got the fan on, and this short configuration, it's something else. It's been pretty hot on the track most of the week, and tonight's no real exception, although it's not tire blisteringly hot, as some of the races have been. They've still got a track temperature of 38 degrees Celsius, which is up there. And this short configuration is going to keep the boys very busy tonight. And it's very difficult to overtake, obviously because it's short as well. There's not the same opportunity to get away. You know, the times between the different guys are going to be much closer than you might see on a long track. So we should be in for a bit of excitement tonight, Benny.
Yeah, we certainly should. And looking at the track at the moment, it's 2 kilometres tonight, but as you said, we've really lost the front straight, which the guys used to depend on to get that big draft down there into that hairpin, so they've lost that passing opportunity. There's not a lot of passing opportunity around here with the draft, so that, as you said, Richard, the guys are going to be struggling a bit to get past. Looking at the weather, it's partly cloudy, wind speed 10 kilometres per hour, so it's 8 kilometres per hour slower than it was in practice. Track temp 39 degrees Celsius and the air temp is 25 degrees Celsius. So as you said, it's going to be a scorcher out there for these guys.
Yeah, well, let's just pick Arian up. He's just coming around onto the main straight now on one of his quali laps. He's third at the moment in quali, and he's just about to cross the line. It's a 1:03.5. He just moved into second.
Did you want to talk the viewers around a lap here while we're with Arian?
Yeah, sure. So we're coming up now into the turn 3, 4, 5 complex. Just a small lift around here into turn 4. Hard on the brakes in turn 4. Some people doing it in second, some in first. Pop it into second for turn 5 and back. Wait to get the power back on. Modulating the throttle around here is the answer. Don't lift off, you just modulate the throttle to transfer the weight, get the car tucked in nice and tight, and onto the run in 4th gear down this back straight, down into turn 9. Just a lift, maybe a brush of the brakes at turn 9, holding it in and feeding the throttle back on, trying not to run out there on the dirt. It's no man's land where you'll get an off track. And there's a heavy braking zone down here in turn 1, 1st gear corner.
It looks like that entry into turn 1 looks quite bumpy, so the guys are going to have to be careful of that as well, I think.
Yeah, there's a big bump right after the optimal turn-in point, and you really have to wait before you put the power down or you'll unsettle the car too much. In fact, it really is. There's quite a lot of technique required around here. It's very much a timing track. Overdriving around here will absolutely kill your lap time. I mean, it does anywhere, but you seem to really notice it around here.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed in Summit Point, especially that tight part down the back of the circuit. It's very easy to overdrive the car through there and lose a bunch of time. But we'll have a look at the point score because it's all shaken up a little bit from last week. As we know, Alex McKellar, he had a problem at the start of that race involved in quite a incident, and he's dropped down to 4th position. So having a look at the moment, Ewan Norolampi on 166 points. He's being chased down now by Luke Page, but more importantly, Josh Anderson on 138 points. So keep an eye on Josh tonight because he's on the hunt. 4th is Alex McKellar on 132 points, and 5th is Callum Dwyer on 122 points. So looking at our field tonight, Richard, we've got a really strong lineup, but the important talking point for our viewers tonight is Alex McCullough is not in the top split. So we think he's in the second split, and that could actually work to his advantage in taking the fight back up to Ewer here.
Yeah, that's right, Benny. So if he wins in the second split, there's 24 points on offer for him, and he'll be very grateful of that because he hasn't scored much in the last couple of races, but he's driven consistently well in the series. And while you were talking, Ariane has just pipped Juha the top spot in qualifying. There's not much in it. They're both in the 103.3s. Juha's bettered his time slightly, but only by a couple of hundreds. So there's about 400ths of a second separating them, which gives you an indication of just how close this is. And, we've got 5 or 6 guys in this field, all within just a few tenths. So I expect this is going to be fairly hectic. And one other thing we were talking about just before we came on, Bernie, engines. So a lot of people have had blown engines this week. Seems following closely here in the heat can really stress the engine. It helps if you can use second gear more often than first, but that can be tricky. So expect to see a few clouds of smoke tonight as well, Benny.
Yeah, so the prescription tonight is extremely close racing, hard to overtake, potential blow-on engines, hot track. It has all the mix for an exciting viewing experience, that's for sure.
It sure does. So we've got 30 seconds left or so of qualifying. I don't know how many of the top runners are still out. Enzo's still out. He's on a 103.5 at the moment. And he may not have time. He's only got 15 seconds, so he may not have time to complete this lap.
Yeah, and we've still got Lance Perkins is out, coming through to complete a lap now. He might scrape that in, but he'll be the last, I think. Looks like he just got in and he's sitting in 13th at the moment. So the guys are gridding, so let's take you through the final grid spots, folks, and get this race underway. So having a look, we've got Arjun De Vries in pole again, Ewan Noralampi in second, Enzo Cantor third, fourth, Matt Thomas fifth, Salura. 6 is Josh Anderson. He's got some work to do back there. Schultz in 7th. 8th, Ridley. 9th, Luke Page. Again, a lot of work for Luke. Kevin Henderson we do have out there in 10th position. 11th is Boyce, followed by Mick Gray in 12th. Perkins, 13th. 14th, Witten. 15th is Venter.
Yeah, so there's not a lot separating the field, but certainly the first 10 are only separated by a little over half a second. So this is going to be a pretty interesting race, I think, Benny.
Certainly is, and I'm just resetting our overlays as I always do, and we'll wait for the guys to grid, but it's definitely going to be an interesting race tonight, that's for sure. So you can see the guys there gridding up, and we've got a great field size here tonight of 15 drivers, and total split was 37 drivers, so there's 2 splits tonight, but as always we'll cover the main split. So we're just waiting now for starters' orders. Arjun De Vries will start from pole position, but keep an eye on Ewer, and especially Enzo there. It's going to be on, I think, tonight, Richard.
Yeah, definitely. And look, Matthew Thomas is no slouch in this car. He's been very cool all week. And then, of course, we've got Angelo Silveira. So, and then you've got Josh Anderson, who's a bit out of position, he might be thinking tonight. So it'll be all on.
Certainly will, and we're underway. 23 laps here at Summit Point Raceway. Arjun De Vries has got a good start. Ewer's straight in. Enzo Cantor third at the moment. Looking further back, there's a bit of contact there. I'm not sure if that was Josh Anderson that could have been involved in that incident. I think it may have been, as he's trying now to get through 3 wide down here.
Yeah, I think Matthew, Thomas and Angelo touched around turn 1.
Yeah, so at the moment, Arjun de Vries leading the way, Ewan Orolampi second, third, Enzo Cantor, Matt Thomas holds in fourth position, fifth, Simon Schultz, Josh Anderson, he's already up to sixth position, and he's pretty hungry to get up there if he can.
Yeah, and already a little bit of a gap has opened up between third and fourth, but down the back of the pack, they're running pretty close. And it'll be interesting to see what happens coming down to turn 1 here with these guys.
We've got a guy into the pits at the moment. I'm not sure who that was. He's dived in, but we've also had a problem with Darryl Ridley. He's all the way down there in 15th position at the moment. So that was Angelo Salura. So maybe those guys have come together.
Yeah, I think Angelo and Matthew Thomas touched at turn 1, which probably explains the bit of the gap that's opened up from Enzo back to Matthew at the moment. Enzo in third and Matthew running in fourth place. And Simon Schultz got past Josh Anderson. So Josh has dropped a position. He won't be too happy about that.
No, because Josh needs to get up there to maximise his points. And it's not going to be easy around here. But not only that, the level of competition here tonight, that's going to make his job quite difficult as well, I think.
I think it's going to make his job very difficult, and I was just going to say that I don't think these front three guys are going to fight each other very much. I think they'd want to go away, and just as I said that, Juha poked his nose and had a bit of a look going into turn 9 coming onto the straight, and he's done it again on Aryan in turn 1, pushed Aryan wide, and giving him a bit of a hurry up along here as they head up down to turn 4 and 5.
And meanwhile, Josh Anderson's made a move into turn 1. He's got that position back from Simon Schultz there, so that brings Josh up to 5th position. His next target will be Matt Thomas if he can catch him.
Yeah, Bernie, I don't think that Juha wants to be sitting between Enzo and Aryan. I think that might be part of his thing here. Juha often sits back early in the race, and we're seeing a bit of attitude from him. I think he wants to get out from being in between. It'll be interesting to see if he keeps trying these moves on Aryan. I suspect he's going to.
Yeah, well, he can remember from last week, I think, he held back, didn't he, behind Aryan, and then Aryan stepped up the pace and took off in that second half of the race. So no doubt you was mindful of that, and he just wants to get in front and try to control the pace.
Yeah, not too happy having Enzo filling his mirrors either, I think. Enzo drives out of Italy. He doesn't mess around at all. He'll have a go anywhere. And Juha will be very mindful of that. As Enzo shows his nose to Juha just coming around turn 4 into turn 5.
Yeah, well, that's right. Juha really needs to, I think, Aryan as well isn't really in this competition as far as points go. So Juha needs to make sure he keeps that gap back to Josh and stays out of trouble with Enzo back there. The last thing he wants to do is get involved in any incident.
That's right. And Matthew Thomas is starting to warm up. We just come across the line now to start lap 5, and Matthew has started to put the hammer down and has closed that gap up quite considerably between himself and Enzo.
Yeah, and Josh Anderson's now got a little bit of a gap back to Simon Schultz, but he's got a lot of work. He's 2.8 seconds down from that leader, Aryan, at the moment. So 18 laps to go. I think it's going to be a tall order for Josh tonight.
Yeah, and the pace at the front is already pretty sharp. They're done 103.5s, 103.4s, the front three guys. It's going to take quite a bit of effort for the other guys to close them in at that pace, because they're not really going to be able to go substantially faster, so you just eke back a tenth here and there, and the race isn't really long enough. Only 22 laps around here.
Yeah, exactly right, and they don't really get the benefit of a draft just when it kicks in as they're coming up on the main straight here. You'll see, folks, the draft is kicking in now, and all of a sudden they're back on the brakes. So that takes away a massive passing opportunity here for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, it sure does. And Enzo's made a little mistake there, I think, going around turn 1. So Juha and Arjen just opening up a little bit of a gap on him.
And something must have happened to Simon as well, because he's dropped well back, but from Josh Anderson, but 7th at the moment. Mick Gray, he's having a great battle here with Luke Page, and again Luke is sitting 2nd in the championship. He needs to try to get as far up the front as he can tonight to minimise that damage to Josh Anderson sitting in 3rd.
Yeah, and Luke's been working really hard this week. He's done a lot of laps around here. He's found some speed. He's probably half a second off these guys running at the front, but I would imagine he'll be able to match Mick Gray for pace. And of course, he is sitting in the draft. And even though you're absolutely right, Bernie, the draft kicks in and then it's all over at turn 1, but you still get a little bit of a tow around, and of course there's the back straight as well to take into consideration. So if you get within half a second, you're certainly getting dragged along, as Luke just closes up just that little bit more on Mick now as they come up the back of the circuit towards turn 3, 4 and 5.
Yeah, that's right. And the dark horse tonight, which we don't know about because we're not covering that race, is Alex McKellar. If he wins split 2 tonight, it's going to bring him back into contention, and we might even find him back up in around about 2nd or 3rd in the points.
Yeah, which would be great. I'd really like to see some real pressure from the guys in the 2nd split on the championship. I think that'd be great. But look, this gap has really opened up now between Juha and Enzo. So very much the 2 guys out in front, then a gap to Enzo, then Matt Thomas, and Joshua is too far back to do much about it unless mistakes happen. So Juha will now work really carefully, I think, to make sure that he and Arjen can go just as fast as possible and increase this gap to Enzo.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't want to start battling here and bring Enzo back into this fight. And if anything, like last week, he'll probably stick there. Unlike last week, he doesn't have a driver breathing down his neck, so hopefully he'll be able to hang on to Arjen here and take the battle to him as the race progresses.
Yeah, and of course, from a championship point of view, there's not much between 1st and 2nd in terms of points, so Juha doesn't actually need to win. It's fine for him just to come 2nd tonight.
Well, that's right, because the guys he's battling with is Luke's back in 8th at the moment. Josh is back in 5th, so he's going to increase his gap there. Alex McKellar, probably in the 2nd split, he's sitting in 4th in points, so he will probably bring it back up into the mix for these guys. So it's still Juha's championship here at the moment.
Yeah, he's not letting Arjen move away. He ranged right up behind him, coming around turn 1.
Yeah, and we're just
Arjen goes defensive into turn 4.
Yeah, it's amazing also to watch from Juha's point of view here how much these skip barbers slide. If you look at Arjen here coming up through the tight part, watch him come up onto the back straight here and just look at this car 4-wheel drift through these corners.
Yeah, it's a very fine balancing act. The guys try and use the change of gear to help with the rotation. If you can time the change of gear with your lift-off point, then that's perfect. Especially coming around there, you're using 3rd gear and then a change up to 4th. I don't know if Juha's really making a move. I think he's just pulling out of the draft.
Oh, they're gone.
And Juha's run into the back of Arjen. Arjen's gone right round. And Juha's clipped Enzo on the way through as well.
Yeah, that's Juha's race. That's not what he wanted tonight at all. This is going to have big ramifications for the points, I think.
Yeah, it really will. And I don't know, I was sitting in Juha's car at the time. I don't know how heavy that contact was with Enzo or whether Enzo will have picked up any damage, but Matt Thomas is now right on Enzo's back, and the whole race has changed.
Yeah, we're just going to have a close look at this replay here and try and have a look at how much contact was involved here. So we can see under brakes now, and Yua's run up the back of Aryan there, spinning him around, but coming back on the track, this is when he gets collected by Enzo, or he runs into Enzo rejoining, and that's probably damaged his steering, I'd say. And yeah, he's definitely damaged his steering.
Yeah, and Enzo's got rear wing damage as well. So Matt's all over the back of Enzo's car at the moment. And of course this has promoted Josh into third place, which is exactly what he wants. So it could just turn things on its head, Bernie.
It certainly has. So after that incident, we've got Enzo Cantor there. It looks like he's got rear wing damage on that car, so I don't know how much that's going to play into this. But he's got Matt Thomas. Matt's looking really racy here, but Enzo's flashing a little bit due to internet. So I guess, you know, Enzo's from Italy, Matthew's from Australia. They're going to have to keep an eye on their net connection issues, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are. Matt's going to have to be very careful into this turn 1 brake zone. As going into turn 9, Enzo put a rear wheel on the grass. That'll give you a bit of a heart attack as Matt ranges up the outside going into turn 1. Not sure if he really wants to have a go, but he's certainly putting the pressure on Enzo. And then there's a back marker up front. He's taken Enzo right off line. Enzo ducks back in front of him. Matt, 3 feet off Enzo's back wheel.
Yeah, this has got all the mix of ending in tears because, as Matt's looped it, and that's going to let Josh through. So Josh is like, I don't know what that ice skater was from Australia that got gold, but that's definitely the way it's looking for Josh tonight.
Oh, yeah, the one where the whole team skittled. That was classic. That is how it's looking. He's not going to close up to Enzo unless Enzo makes a mistake. But second place from, what would he start? 5th or 6th on the grid. It's a great result for Josh.
Yeah, and it's a poor result here for Yuha. He's had to pit. He's down in 15th position in split 1, so this is not where he wants to be as far as the point standings goes tonight.
That's right. To score any points at all, Yuha's got to finish in the top 12. He's got a few. It's only lap 13, so we're only just over halfway through the race, so he's got a few laps to go. But, yeah, it's going to be slim pickings for Yuha, for sure.
Well, quite honestly, I don't think he's going to get any better than 15th with 10 laps to go, because Kevin Henderson sitting in 14th position, the gap back to Yuha is over 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah. Yeah, that's it. So Yuha dead last. That's not going to make him happy. Josh may not get it all his own way. As I said, Matt's been very quick. And Matt Thomas hasn't given up. He's still going to keep heaping the pressure on Josh, I think.
Oh, for sure. Matt's already starting to close in. He's got the pace here tonight, and he's definitely going to be taking it to Josh there. And the other question is, can they both range back up onto Enzo? Because Enzo's carrying rear wing damage. How much would that affect the handling of these cars tonight?
Well, I think it's more of a stability issue. There's not really a massive downforce effect. It'll knock a little bit of speed off at the higher speed parts of the track, I guess, but not much because the cars aren't getting anywhere near their sort of 130 mile an hour top speed here. But it does unsettle the handling of the car a little bit, and so through the S's, for example, that might just mean you get a bit of push, a bit more understeer. You know, apart from anything else, though, it's changed the handling characteristics of the car mid-race, and then you have to adjust to it. Enzo's experienced, and he will adjust. And this is Yuha right in front of Enzo here. He probably isn't going to catch him. That's an interesting turn-up.
Yeah, it certainly is. And again, that's not what Yuha wants to see in his mirror as well. He does, but he wants to be on the same lap, not fighting to stay on the same lap. But at the moment, folks, Enzo Cantor is leading the way here. Josh Anderson second, Matt Thomas third, fourth Simon Schultz, a good race from him tonight. Arjan de Vries sitting back there in 5th position after his collision, I guess you could say, with Ewan Lampe, who's sitting all the way back in 15th position. Luke Page up to 6th. So he's going to be happy with that haul. He's got past Mick Gray there, who's sitting in 7th. Daniel Boys in 8th position, having a fight with Lance Perkins in 9th. 10th, we have Luke Witten all by his lonesome out there. He's got Angelo Salura there in 11th. 12th, Conrad Venter having a battle with Darryl Ridley, who was involved in that incident with Angelo at the start of the race, we think. Kevin Henderson 14th, and 15th is Ewan Lampe, who's trying to stay on the lead lap here.
Yeah, so I was just looking at some of the lines. I think Enzo is struggling to hold a line. He's running quite deep out of turn 2, which you don't really want to do. You want to be able to hold the car in close to the grass coming out of turn 2, and he's not being able to do that for the last couple of laps, as Josh Anderson pushed it wide coming through turn 4. So Josh is giving it everything he can at the moment to get away from Matt and to get on the back of Enzo.
Yeah, and we're just riding on board here with Enzo. We'll stay with him so we can have a look at turn 2 as you were talking. But we can really see him working that wheel as he drifts it through the final turn and completes another lap.
Yeah, he's running quite wide out of there. He's a metre or so off what I think is the optimal line going around that corner.
Yeah, so would that be the rear wing playing a bit of a role there?
Well, I mean, it may be that he thinks that that's the faster line, but I'd have to sort of disagree with him. I noticed Juha's pushing it wide there, but most of the guys on pace this week have been short shifting first to second through there and holding it in quite a lot tighter coming out of turn 1, turn 2.
Yeah, we just saw Josh Anderson get it a little bit loose there coming into turn 4, and that's allowed Matthew Thomas to close up on the back of him again. So this fight for third is by no means over. It's probably the fight of the race, I think.
Yeah, Matt's put himself back within striking distance here. He'll be able to close this gap up. See, look at these guys. They're holding it in much tighter on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, we could see there Matt was really hugging the inside of turn 2 there, but he's closing right up here, so expect a few, hopefully not too many fireworks, but fireworks is good all the same.
Yeah, it's actually quite a good view. I'm watching from Matt's pit right now. It's quite a good view of the race out front, and you get to see the attitude of Josh's car very clearly as well. Josh is really working the car, got it sliding around, and not necessarily ideal for the speed. Lost a bit of speed there, running wide onto the grass coming out of turn 8. Allowed Matt to pick up on him. He's got a bit of a run coming out of 9 onto the front straight. Whether he'll be able to do much with it, we'll wait and see. He may not want to yet. It's lap 18, just starting lap 19.
Tell you what, he ranged right up under brakes there. If anything, I think it caught him out a bit, and that's cost him probably about 3 or 4 car lengths there.
Yeah, he really broke his rhythm there. I think Josh caught him out with heavy braking.
Yeah, and I guess that's another racing tactic, I guess, isn't it? You know, if you can, give the guy behind you a bit of a brake test. As Ewan Lampe's off the track again, he probably did that to get out of the way of the front runners, I think.
Yeah, I think you had obviously moved over to let Enzo through, and he bailed on 4 to let Josh through, and then probably realised that Matt was right up behind, so I think he's just got out of the way, which is good to see. You don't want to interfere with the race at the front, but as you pointed out, Bernie, that little mistake at turn 1's cost Matt a heap of time, and he's really out of it now. He's not going to be able to get back onto Josh's tail to mount a challenge here.
Yeah, that's right, and as we said, that heavy braking into turn 1 here is what did that. But Matt's not going to give up. He's going to try and take the fight back. But as you said, 3 laps to go. I think he's going to run out of laps before he catches Josh here.
Yeah, Matt's been very quick through the S's, and I think Josh has been overdriving slightly through the S's. So as Josh runs wide again coming out of turn 4, so Matt is picking up time through here.
Yeah, so looking at that gap, we've got Enzo Cantor at the moment. His race to lose with a 1.8 second gap to Josh Anderson. Matt Thomas is 0.6 of a second down and closing up again.
It looks like Josh is struggling a little bit with the car. Maybe he's not feeling too comfortable in there.
Yeah, well, it's definitely looking loose there coming onto that final corner. But and again, coming through turn 1 and 2, the back end's just kicking out just slightly. Now, I don't know if that's the way he's driving it or if he's got a bit of a loose setup going on.
Yeah, Josh does slide the car around a bit, but I think you're right. I think it's looking a bit loose. Let's see what he does here again in 4. He's held it in much tighter that time. The last few laps, he's let the car drift right out wide on the exit of 4. This is looking better, though. But Matt has closed up considerably.
Yeah, he definitely has. You can just see now as Josh starts to slide that car and going onto the grass again, which is costing him that time, and Matt's a lot cleaner.
Yeah, you need to be so careful about touching the grass there out of turn 8. You get it slightly wrong and you're in the trees before you know it.
Yeah, and again, coming out the final turn, he was into the sand there. So, final lap now, folks.
Yeah, so this is all about Matt trying to pressure Josh into a mistake at this point, I think, Benny.
Yeah, I think so, and but at the moment it's all Enzo Cantor there. They've pulled in 0.4 of a second, but I'd say that's Enzo just managing that gap, and he's probably quite relieved considering the battle they were having earlier on tonight.
I think Enzo will think it's Christmas. He'll be over the moon with a win. He was looking good for third, I've got to say, but first definitely looked out of reach when the front two had dropped them off. So he's really inherited it. Big payday for Enzo.
Yes, as we can see, Enzo Cantor coming around in first place to take out tonight's round. Summit Point Raceway, Skip Barber Monday Lights. Josh Anderson holds on to second. Matt Thomas closely in third. Simon Schultz, he's coming home and looking happy in fourth, followed by Arjun De Vries in fifth position.
Yes, and then we've got Luke Page coming in sixth, Mick Gray in seventh, Lance Perkins in 8th, Angelo Sivera in 9th, Luke in 10th, and just to pick up these others, Daryl Ridley in 11th, Conrad Venter in 12th, Daniel Boys in 13th, Kevin Henderson coming around in 14th, and Juha a lap down, rounding out the field in 15th.
Yeah, so what a race. I tell you what, we said at the start that it had all the ingredients of making an action-packed race, and it did deliver, I think, tonight, Richard.
Yeah, it did. No blown engines. I'm a bit disappointed. I do like a bit of smoke, but it was definitely some exciting racing. So the close short circuit racing is quite fun in these cars, I've got to say, and we really got a bit of that tonight. A little bit too close, I think Arjen would say, but that is a tricky braking zone. There are bumps down there, it can unsettle the car, and I think that just wrong-footed Juha, because Juha is generally a very clean racer, so that's an uncharacteristic mistake from him.
Yeah, that's right, and we're just going to jump on with Gyrocam, have another look at this incident that really changed the race. We can see you are on the inside under brakes. There is just, I think he was just caught out under brakes. He's really hit Arjen hard, and yeah, what can you say?
Yeah, there's not much you can say. I mean, perhaps he had an issue with his pedals. I know that he's adjusting to a new pedal kit that that was most unfortunate, and I don't think Arjen will be very happy. Hopefully he comes up to have a chat with us. We'll have to see. He may not.
Yeah, Arjen's actually in the green room now, so we'll bring him up and have a chat.
Oh, good stuff.
Hi Arjen, welcome to RRTV. We're just having a look at that replay with the incident between you and Ewer, and most unfortunate, but how do you feel? I guess that's the only question tonight.
You want the honest answer or the...
the clean, family-friendly answer would probably help.
I feel robbed of a win. That's all I can say, actually. I mean, I had a good pace this week on Summit Point. I did quite well yesterday, and good rear-ended, and I lost like a few places there. I could have maybe gone sooner back to the track, but I wanted to give the guys a bit of space. And after I rejoined, I had to try and make up some places, but I think my rear wing was bent, so I lost like 2/10 a lap there. But yeah, these things happen, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, look, it was a really unfortunate incident. I mean, as you know, Juha is he's a pretty clean driver. Normally, it's uncharacteristic mistake. There are a few bumps into that zone, aren't there? It is a slightly tricky braking and turn-in zone down there at turn 1, isn't it?
Well, for me, the braking marker is a bump in the road, and when you're behind somebody, and I know most of the guys use that braking marker, and when you're behind somebody, you can't really see it. Compared to like you have said last week, I think he had new brakes and he is quite confident on them. So I think a bit overconfident today. But yeah, I don't think the brakes do play a big of a part in the bumps play a big part in the first corner. But yeah, it's a tricky braking zone anyway, and I mean if it's the longer version, it's a tricky braking zone for turn 1 as well. So it's you just have to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's true. But it was a real shame. You guys had opened up a bit of a gap on Enzo, and I actually had just said that I thought that Juha would be driving to just make sure that you two could drive as fast as possible and just increase and secure that gap on Enzo. And no sooner had I said that than he ran up the back of you. So it was a little bit unfortunate. I'm sure that he'll have his tail between his legs on it, Arjen, but I thought that you were in for a win tonight. I've got to say, I didn't think Juha would risk it. It's very difficult to overtake here, isn't it? Yeah,
it certainly is, and you only can. I had some troubles with passing Luke, I think, and there's like only 1 or 2 spots where you can really stick the overtake. I mean, you can place it beside him and try and get a run on him, but you have to already be on the side of him, like in turn 1, and then stick it through turn 4, I think, and maybe even turn 5 if you have the outside. But yeah, that's like the only spot where you can overtake without any risk.
That's right, and it's really difficult to get alongside in turn 1, isn't it? If you're with an evenly matched driver, it's really quite difficult to make that move really safely and have your car well enough alongside to deprive the other guy of the apex. And of course, they can just take the inside line as well and force you wide on the exit and coming through 2 and 3.
Yeah, and even I think in turn 1 the outside line is quicker because you got the inside for the little kink to the left, and then you can keep the inside until turn 4. So and you get a better run out of the corner. So.
Yeah, you can, unless someone does a Lewis Hamilton on you and just forces you out into no man's land, which really is the defending tactic. But anyway, look, bad luck tonight, Aryan. You were on form, mate. You got robbed, we'll say it. I agree, but I think it was an unfortunate incident. There was definitely no malice in it. I think just a racing incident, miscalculation on Yuha's part. But tough to swallow, mate.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot. And we've got the winner of tonight's race in the green room. Let's bring him up, Benny. Ciao, Enzo. Well, you inherited a win. How lucky do you feel?
Yeah, Rich. I feel very, very, very lucky because I suspend 2 races in this series because I'm concentrating on Black Pain Endurance Series, so I lost a bit of confidence with this car. I tried this week to come back and do some races for fun, but yesterday I saw I was a little bit slower than before, so I tried this race. Nice 3rd position in qualifying, but the first 2, Aryan and Yua, was really, really quick. So they crashed together. I win. Perhaps this is the luckiest race of my life.
Yeah, after the first few laps, they just started eking out, a tenth here and there, and opened up the gap a bit. And then, of course, there's that turn 1 incident. And tell us about that from your point of view. I was in Yuha's car at the time as he crossed back over the track, and you guys touched, and I saw you got a bit of rear wing damage. Did you get any steering or suspension damage at all from that, Enzo?
Okay, let me tell first one thing. If it was not that gap, perhaps I could be involved in that accident. So thanks to the gap, thanks to my slow pace, I was rare and I was not involved. But then you are perhaps couldn't see me arriving in his mirror and turning on the track. He hit me. He said me he couldn't steer on his right, so perhaps his steering wheel was damaged. But fortunately, I had only a damage on rear wing, so I lost a bit of speed in the straights. It was difficult to keep my pace and defend my position. I was looking. The other were arriving fast. But you helped me because he was lapped. He come back in the track after the pit, and his pace was fast, so he helped me to maintain my gap in first position.
Yeah, you were a bit lucky. The guys were closing up on you a bit, but then Joshua, who was in second, had Matt Thomas breathing down his neck, and things got a bit heated and close there, and they came very close to having a repeat turn 1 performance, which basically ended that challenge. But that definitely slowed down their forward progress. And as you say, then with Yuha's little bit of a toe, you managed to get away, and you had a good margin at the end, Enzo. But look, welcome back, mate. It's always fun to have you here. I wasn't going to go there, but I do have to say one thing. Rossi and Jorge, what's your vibe, mate? Did Rossi get stitched up?
Are you asking me if I am with Rossi or with Marquez? I didn't understand.
Yeah, did Valentino get stitched up by the Spaniards, mate?
Oh, sure, I'm with Valentino. I think he's the most, the best motorcycle driver of all times, and I think Marquez is he has to grow up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you there. No, I mean Valentino's lost some edge, but he certainly has a lot of history and a lot of accomplishment. You can't take that away from him. Well, look, congrats, Enzo. Really good. You've got to be there to inherit the win, and you were. Nice driving, mate. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys. I'm very happy to be back in this competition, and I hope to do some races again. This is my lucky competition because this is my first victory after my pause on this series. So thanks to you for organizing this league.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. We have a lot of fun doing this. Come back next week for Bathurst. It'll be a riot.
Yeah, I think I will come back next week. I will try.
Cheers, Enzo. And we've got Yuha in the green room. This will be good. Good evening, Yuha. Really unfortunate. I bet you feel just terrible for turn one. You guys had a good race going there and had opened up the gap on Enzo. Just tell us about it from your perspective, Yuha.
Yeah, hi Rich. First of all, I have to apologize, Aryan. Very, very stupid thing to do that. I don't know what got into me because I tried to watch it on replay and I couldn't believe my eyes. I just ran at his and well, I don't know what happened. I was very confident until that point, and everything went according to plan. We just, as you said, had a little gap for Enzo, and I just thought that I will follow peacefully with Aryan pace, because Aryan's pace is very, very good at this week also. But I was surprised that I was so competitive today, because yesterday I wasn't able to follow those guys. But well, what can I say? I'm really sorry and very, very disappointed for myself and for Aryan, and I hit also Enzo.
Yeah, well, it was a very uncharacteristic mistake. You know, you don't drive like a cowboy. You're very respectful of the cars around, but it is a tricky little brake zone down there, and I found a couple of times I got really much closer than I wanted to people. It seems the draft is just really starting to kick in as you come across the start-finish line, and no sooner have you done that than you're on the brakes, and that can change the dynamic a bit because you've picked up just that extra little bit of speed, and Aryan doesn't seem to think, but I think it's a slightly tricky braking and turn-in zone anyway, and there's no obvious marker there visually, so it is a bit of an edgy corner, isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and well, as I said, I didn't know what happened, but anything else but that I just hit him. But I just take today a new line following him, because I read that there was many engine explosions, and I just tried to clean air, and I went side at that straight, and when I came back to the line after Aryan, I was able to see that bump where he will brake normally, and I think that he brake normally this time also, or if he just brake 1/10 earlier, then that's enough. I don't know. One problem is that because I have this new brake pedal set, I have been trying to use to those, and it's much more effective now, and I have much more confidence on those brakes, and perhaps there's too much confidence, and that causes some trouble now. And one other thing is perhaps that I have been driving quite a much Formula 1 this week and other weeks, and the braking power is there enormously much more, and perhaps those things just mix my brains, which are not good condition.
Yeah, it's quite difficult changing cars sometimes, isn't it? I mean, after a Formula 1 car, in the skippy, it doesn't feel like you've got any traction at all, and it doesn't really feel like you're moving. Anyway,
yeah.
Look, the bad news is, of course, that you haven't scored any points at all tonight. Joshua managed to sneak a second, and we don't know yet what's happened in Split 2, but we think Alex McKellar was in Split 2, and he's been a regular winner of Split 2, so it could make it interesting from a competition point of view for the series you have.
Yeah, well, I don't think that it's not so bad, but I think it's very good news for Joshua and Alex. I don't know. Perhaps it's time for another winner for this series, and that's fine for me.
Yes, well, we'll have to see how it all spills out when Dylan, our scorekeeper, posts the results. But look, very disappointing for you. I know that you'll feel gutted. I know that Arian feels gutted. But hey, that's racing. It's generally pretty clean between you guys, and it was entertaining for us, wasn't it, Bernie?
Yeah, it certainly was. It's that braking market definitely turned that race on its head, and there was a couple of close calls through that race on that new turn one, so don't feel too bad about it. I think it was just a racing incident, and you arrived on that corner way quicker than you're expecting.
Yeah, that's right, Bernie.
Yeah, well, thanks for popping in, We hope to see you back again next week, and my commiserations, because that race was definitely shaping up to be a corker between you and Arjan until that incident. But as always, it's great to have you here tonight racing with us Aussies.
Thank you very much, and good luck for this progress again. Bye.
So, Richard, there you go. We've gone through the interviews. We've turned it on its head. I've had a look at showing the viewers some replays while you're doing those interviews. An interesting thing was Darryl Ridley actually started from pit lane tonight, and which was the reason why he was so far down that field.
Oh, right, okay. So, driver of the night, Bernie. That's a bit tricky tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm actually looking at Matthew Thomas myself. He was extremely strong there tonight. He stayed out of trouble, and up until he outbraked himself, he was looking very strong.
Yeah, okay. Well, I had actually been thinking about Matthew. I think he put some real pressure on. He also drove really cleanly. I'd be happy to give Matthew the driver of the night.
And the other one we should also mention is Luke Page. He started out in 9th or 10th. He had a good, strong race there. He's brought that car home in 6th position.
Yeah, good drive from Luke. That's right. And so he's made up a few more places, but he lost a few along the way as well, of course.
Yeah, well, that's right. But, after this incident, though, one thing the viewers are going to be interested in is, and we will be next week, is this point score, because Ioannorilampi finishing, he was leading the championship, finishing 15th out of the points. Josh Anderson came home second. I'll bring up the point score. So he was sitting in 3rd position, and that's going to increase his championship. Luke Page came back in 6th, so he didn't get as many points as Josh. Josh got the most out of the 3, but the dark horse is going to be to see how Alex McKellar went in Split 2. But all in all, if Alex won that race, and the way we're sitting, this is going to close this championship right up.
It certainly is. I'm just doing the calculation here. So I calculate that Josh is going to end up after tonight with 167 points.
Which is 1 point in front of Ioannorilampi, who scores no points.
Right, I was just scrolling back to that. Yeah, exactly. So it has its 10 things on it there. And Alex could well have added 24 points, which would put him on 154. So he might move into third, because of course Luke has scored reasonably well in sixth place as well. So yeah, things are going to get interesting at the front, but Yuha has a real challenger now, doesn't he?
Well, he certainly does. If your calculations are correct, there's going to be 1 point between you and Oralampi, Josh Anderson, coming into Bathurst. I tell you what a great track to go to when the point score's so tight.
That's right. I did a few laps today. It was difficult to get my head around Bathurst after the tight confines of Summit Point, but man, it's a great track. And once you get the draft effect and some good close, fast racing there, and of course you've got to navigate downhill in this little car, which is pretty tricky. When you're heading down into Forest Elbow and you have to stand on the brakes, back end just wants to go around on you. It's quite a handful. So it'll be pretty exciting next week, I think.
Oh, it certainly will. And before we go, we have to congratulate you because, from my understanding, you're the current world title holder of the fastest lap around this configuration at the moment in Summit Point.
Yeah, I was a bit lucky. I snuck in a world record in practice with a 102.042. Pipped Yuha by a little bit over a tenth, which was a bit of fun. But there's a day to go yet. I'm not safe until we pass the gong on Tuesday our time. But yeah, hopefully it sticks. Always nice to get one of those world records.
Yeah, it's definitely good to add to the CV, that's for sure. But yeah, so folks, turning a change of pace a bit. I did promise, I think, to bring you some dirt rally action. I did actually do a cockpit coverage of that with me driving last night, but unfortunately the video didn't turn out, which is probably a good thing because, Richard, when I started that race, I had full lock on and they counted me down to 1 and I ended up running straight into the fence. So,
Ouch.
yeah, but it's good fun, that dirt rally. So I'll try and bring you some of that action this week, folks, with some good old 1970s rally action. As far as iRacing goes, though, we don't really have any more coverage coming up because we're coming to the end of the year. The next broadcast will, of course, be the Skip Barber Monday Lights next week at Bathurst at 9:15. But the following Wednesday, just looking, 25th of November, will be the next round of the Australian Pro-Am Sports Car Series. So that's definitely worth watching. As far as some events you guys out there may be interested in, JFF are looking at an interesting competition starting up over the Christmas break, and I'm not going to say anything else because I haven't announced it, but definitely keep your eye out for that because I think it's going to be exciting racing for all over the festive season this year.
Yeah, so your program's going to start winding up a bit, isn't it, Bernie?
Yeah, it certainly is, and already I'm looking at 2016 broadcasting. I can announce tonight that we have signed for 2016 to bring the Australian Endurance Championship, so that is a definite on our calendar, and I'll have more news as the weeks progress on the other championships we'll bring you. And yeah, so already I'm looking at 2016, Richard.
Yeah, that's great, and of course there's quite a bit of work in the background with a few series, just finalising some dates and bits and pieces, so there should be some pretty good news in the not too distant future, Benny.
Yeah, there should be, but we'll wait and see. As far as the SEK Queensland series goes, folks, I have also come to a broadcasting agreement with them as well, so that will be starting Season 1 and going into mid-Season 2 of the SEK Queensland GT series. And I was speaking to the organisers, and I think they said today they've been running that now for 10 seasons in a row. So that's pretty huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. So are you looking forward to them taking on the Nürburgring Nordschleife?
Oh, yeah, well, with an endurance race around Nordschleife, we should probably get 3 laps in, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. Quite a difficult race to call. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, won't it? You need a few guys on deck for that one, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be an interesting track when that comes out. I think it's going to be less of a good racing track and more of an driver experience type track. But we'll wait and see. Do they actually race around the full version of Nordschleife now?
Oh, they sure do. Yeah, there's lots of races around there, and I think it's a great racetrack. I only ever raced it in the Gran Turismo version, but I've done heaps of races. I've done 2 24-hour events there, and I hate to say it, but thousands of laps, because it became the only track that I ended up enjoying driving on Gran Turismo, getting around in the little BMW M3 race car. And I'd race against, put my laptop next to the screen and race against videos of other drivers in the same car. It was great fun.
Yeah, that would be awesome fun. But when's Nordschleife come out? Is that going to be coming out at the end of this season? In which case, I'm not sure what week we're up to now.
Yeah, it does. It comes out in the new build that has been confirmed, and I think both tracks, the standard Nürburgring GP and then the Nordschleife circuit as well. So if you buy the package, you'll be able to run the extended configuration. And I know some series some of the leagues in particular have already got it penciled in for next year. It'll be great. So that's early December. We've got 3 weeks to go. We've got, for the skippies, we've got Bathurst starting up later on tomorrow, in fact, so for the next week. Then Monza Junior, and then we finish up with Spa. So 3 weeks of racing to go.
Fantastic. Well, it's going to be here before we know it. But anyway, folks, it's sort of turned into a bit of a news show tonight, which is fantastic. You know, we should bring more news of what's happening out there in the community. But Richard, I think we should wrap this up. Have you got any final thoughts of tonight's race?
No, mate, only that, the series is really demonstrating some good close racing. A lot of the guys are really, really enjoying it, which is what we set out to do. Expose some of our local crew to some of the international talent as well. And it's great that those guys are coming in from overseas and racing with us. So big thank you to them. It's not always convenient, but they're making the effort, and that can only be good for racing in Australia and New Zealand. So, it's really been most enjoyable, Bernie.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I'll second that. A big thanks to the European drivers, Enzo Cantor, Ewa Noralampi, Arjan de Vried, Angelo Salura. I think he's European as well.
Yep, Angelo's from Italy, but Arjan is right up there as one of the best skippy racers in the world at the moment. He'd be in certainly the top 10, but he's probably in the top 5. Juha on his day similarly, so it's really great to have these guys racing with us.
Oh, it's fantastic, and also we were saying before the broadcast, it allows the Australian drivers to really race with some of the top skippy drivers in the world, and compare their talent, but more importantly, help them improve. It must help us when we get to the World iRacing Championships and that sort of thing, if these guys actually compete in that to represent Australia.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case, Bernie, and we can see it with Josh Anderson. He's a young guy, and he's come a hell of a long way really, really fast, and it's great to see. And of course, we do have some very quick drivers in Australia and New Zealand. We've got Mike Matheson, who's taking a hiatus while he finishes building a house. But there's a few guys that have raced the Skippy extensively and are now racing other cars, and they jump in from time to time and practice and whatnot. Guys like Reg Burke, and they're really, really fast. And so it's really good that the local guys are being exposed to this quick and talented driving.
Yeah, well, hopefully when Mike gets his house built and we can get some of the faster Aussie drivers in here as well, just to take it up a little bit of a notch, I think. And but it's come a long way, this series, in the last 2 seasons, and it's definitely looking good for the Skippy community as far as racing goes on these Monday nights.
Yeah, it's really good. But I think we've overstayed our welcome, Bernie. I think it was a good call. But it has been a lot of fun, and it is good that we do a bit of news and discussion at the end of the show. Maybe we'll have a look at bringing some little updates and making that a regular feature. But we don't want to go too long, but it's been a great night. Thank you again for your support, and we also need to thank Alex McKellar, who's doing quite a bit of work behind the scenes, keeping things ticking along. So Alex and Dylan Francis, of course, our scorekeeper. Great job that you guys do. So thanks very much.
Yeah, definitely. I'll second that. Thanks, Alex and Dylan, for all your hard work in this series. But anyway, it's time to wrap up. We'll go by congratulating the podium. Tonight's winner, Enzo Cantor, followed by Josh Anderson in second. Matt Thomas comes home third. So definitely tune in next week, folks. It's going to be on again. And I'd like to thank Richard Craig for joining me here tonight, and also all our viewers out there. Thank you for watching RRTV, and we hope you have a good night.